Hello, my gardening friends and wannabe gardeners like myself. Today, oh, bad news. I'm kind of a little bit heartbroken because I my garden was going so well, and then I did something really dumb, and it caused me some problems. So let's start out by letting you know that I planted some potatoes in cardboard boxes. I think this one is starting to break ground a little bit right here, but they're too new. I've only planted them about 2 or 3 days ago, so I'm not expecting much from them. But here's what happened. Um, a few days ago, uh, I went to the farmer's market and I bought some fish, and it was like whole fish, heads, guts, and all. I mean, the whole fish. So I had to actually scale the fish, and I actually had to gut the fish before I cooked it. And I thought, fish guts, that should be good for the garden. So what I did, and let me just walk you over here. What I did is, let me just start with the very, very bad news first. Over here, I'm not even sure if I had a chance to share with you that I planted some watermelon starts, and they were plants that I got from Walmart, and they were probably about 2 inches tall. And after they grew about another inch, I broke them up and I planted them in this space right here. And you're probably like, where are they, Bev? I don't see them. So, yeah. See that? That was one of them. That was one of them, right? Well, can't even see him anymore. That was one of them. That was one of them. So here's what happened. My brother-in-law used to be such a good gardener, and he used to fish all the time, and he would throw his fish guts into his garden. Like the fish heads and all of the scraps of the fish, he would just bury them in his garden. And he said it helped to make the soil healthier and would feed the plants. And he used to get the hugest, the biggest zucchinis that were like, oh man, they were big as watermelons. So I thought, okay, I will just bury the fish guts in my garden. Sound like a good plan. There's something good coming up right there. It may just be a weed. I have no idea. But yeah, so what I did is I buried the fish guts right in here. I mean, in 2 or 3 spots. The next day, I opened my door and lots of flies were everywhere. And I said, oh my goodness, what's up with these flies? So I came out to the garden, and they were all over this bed right here. I mean, just in swarms, there were all these flies. And I was like, ew, that is so gross. What's going on with the flies? Well, they smelled the fish, and they were trying to get to the fish. And my dog got in the mix too, and she kept going over here trying to dig up the fish guts too. And I was like, what's going on? So I said, okay, I'm going to get rid of these flies. So what I did is I know those of you who are gardening are going to say, why did you do that? I'm going to come back to that little thing right there. I'm going to come back to that in a minute. But what I did is I put some vinegar in a spray bottle. What was I thinking? Vinegar is acidic. And I said, I'm going to get rid of these flies. So I sprayed this area. Oh my gosh, I sprayed it really heavily with vinegar. Spray, spray, spray. You notice there's no flies there, so that part worked. And I sprayed, they were also like at the top of this trellis, just, you couldn't even see the metal ring here because the whole thing was just flies on every spot there. And so I sprayed the top of this trellis with vinegar, trying to discourage the flies. But oh my gosh, look what I did to my poor, beautiful plant. You see it? I'm so heartbroken that I killed some of the leaves of my plant with all that vinegar. And so my tomato plant just started looking droopy and wilty because of all the vinegar. Interestingly enough, though, it didn't negatively affect the fruit. The fruit is still looking real healthy. That one already had a hole in it, but it's still looking really healthy. So there's like 2 tomatoes, another tomato there, and then there's another tomato right there. And all the tomatoes look healthy. So yeah, they still look healthy. But I was just heartbroken to see it all brown like that. I was like, what were you thinking? What were you thinking? And some of the spray filtered over to my pepper plant, that's stuck in here with the lettuce. And I don't know what's been eating up my greens there, but whatever it is, it's been having a major munch fest. Probably whatever that is right there has been eating holes in my greens. I should have harvested them already. I really should have. I shouldn't have waited so long. Also, looking over here, some more of the vinegar got on my berry plant and killed some of the leaves there. All in all, it's not doing bad. But you know, and it's still growing. You see a little baby shoot there. But it just broke my heart because I like to see them all very healthy. Interestingly enough, the mint is like, whatever, I'm just going to keep on growing. I ain't scared of no vinegar. It's like none of the vinegar, either I didn't spray it over here or this mint plant is just that hardy and just didn't care. This mint has a little bit of oil in its leaves too, naturally. The cilantro didn't seem to be affected, but this is also another pepper plant that has encroached on the cilantro bin, and you can see how the vinegar affected those leaves. And then over here is also the pepper plant that's being eaten up by whatever bug that is. It's eating holes in it. And also the vinegar just killed off some of the leaves. Oh man, that just broke my heart. This is my okra. The okra must have got a little splash of vinegar, but it's still growing. I still haven't seen anything that looks like, you know, some okra coming out, but it's still overall pretty healthy. This is my bin that has the herbs in it, and my herb plants seem to still be doing pretty good. They must not have gotten a splash of the vinegar, but like I said, something is eating major holes in the leaves. And I think this right here really should have been harvested already, a lot of these leaves. So I'm going to start taking some of these leaves off and drying them. I think it's basil. I'm going to start drying those leaves so that I can put them away for cooking time. But yeah, overall it's not too bad. But my heart was broken to come out and see the leaves wilted like that. I was like, what did you do? What did you do? Those of you who know about gardening and what to do when you have pests on your plants, I'm going to have to get on YouTube and do some research, but please comment below if you've ever had pests in your garden and you know how to get rid of them without ruining your plants or without making your plants toxic. That's the thing. I don't want to kill the plant, of course. I don't want the bugs, of course, if they're not going to be helpful in making things grow. But I also don't want to put toxins on food plants. It just doesn't seem right either. I mean, nobody wants to eat that. So these are some starts that I did. I have an old cardboard egg carton, and I had a few seeds that had not been placed in the ground yet. So this is some more bean plants here, some more greens, and I just popped them in there to see what they would do. There were 3 different plant varieties in here. That last one over there, my puppy stepped on it and snooped over here trying to see what I was doing when I wasn't looking at it, so she killed those 4 at the end, but these 6 over here are still doing something. So I'm going to give it a few more days to get a little bit taller, and then I'm going to plant them in this bed. So that's what happened. Oh man, you know, I guess, you know, you can't be perfect. I'm new at this, so I have to give myself some grace. And these plants over here, they're not completely dead, so I'm gonna give them some time. Maybe they will bounce back. These were my watermelon, and I had hoped that the watermelon would flourish, and also I wanted to put some strawberries right in here. So we'll see what happens. But the good news is, I guess, is that I got rid of the fly swarm. I doused it pretty good with vinegar though. So I hope the ground is not too acidic to receive seed at this point. So that's the really bad news about my garden. Let me give you some good news about it. It's not about food though. Well, some of it is about food. So let's go over here. Over here, today I stepped outside and I saw a beautiful red rose blossom. This rose bush was planted right here, and it looked like it was dead. I mean, it was just this stick you see right there in the middle, and it was dry and cracking, and I thought it looks dead. But then I saw on the side a little green shoot, and I said, well, if there's any green, there's still some life, so let me pull it out of the ground and plant it in a planter. And that's what I did, and I've been watering it and just kind of nurturing it and kind of twisting it around so it doesn't fall over. And today it produced a flower. So that's the good news today. That brings me up a little bit. Oh, my heart's broken about dry food plants over there that need to be producing. So my rose is doing great, and I hope it keeps on doing great. I noticed that it has a little bit of the leaves are now nice and red, whereas they were dry before. And I guess it's what they call the kind of plant that dies back and comes back anyway. So maybe it would have come back anyway had I left it in the ground. But I just decided to put it in a pot so I could, you know, give it a little bit more extra care. And out of nowhere, all of these little clovers grew in the bottom, which actually looks pretty. So yeah, they weren't there when I repotted this. When I put it in the pot, they were not there. It was just dirt. And somehow, I guess those seeds were already in the dirt, so they just came up too. Looks good. Another piece of good news. Another piece of good news is, in my front yard, there was this plant. I know you recognize it as an elephant ears or whatever. But honestly, it was only about this big. It had a little bitty, 2 little leaves on it like that. So I took that out of the ground because it was looking a little sad. And I planted it in this pretty good sized planter with some good potting soil. And I water it every day. Now look at it. Oh my goodness. Too bad this is not an edible. Because I would be saying, woohoo, good job, Bev. But hey, good job anyway, okay? It's looking really healthy and it's beautiful out here on the patio. The other day I went to the farmer's market, and a nice lady there was selling vegetables and also plants. And I told her I am interested in buying some edible plants for my garden. And she had these, which are eggplant. And so for $7 each, she sold me these 2 large eggplant plants. I'm not sure if they're called plants or trees, because they're pretty tall. They're about 2.5 foot tall each, and they look beautiful. Look at all the leaves. They have blossoms on them. Look at that. They got blossoms. You have blossoms, you have hope for fruit. And so she told me to go ahead and plant these in the ground and put some stakes on them so that it will hold up the branch while it produces its fruit. You know, when the eggplants come out, it's going to be heavy. Now, here's the thing. There are all these creatures around. Can you see that? He's the same color as a leaf, but he's a lizard. He's a gecko. And not the insurance gecko. He is a gecko. Do you see him? He's just sitting there chilling like he thinks I can't see him. And these are the types of things that start eating up your plant. Well, I don't think geckos really care about eating plants. I think they really care about the bugs that get on the plants that they can eat. So yeah, if you can see him, can you see him? I'm going to trouble him a little bit so he'll move. There he goes. You see him? Yeah, he's running. I'm not after you. Go be natural. It's all happiness. And then finally, from the same sweet lady at the farmer's market, I bought this beautiful plant. Don't pay any attention to the dry plant behind it. That's just a branch I found in the yard, and I just put it out here for decoration. But this plant right here that's nice and green is a guava tree. Yep. So when I go to the store now, instead of just getting decorative plants, see, all the decorative plants either came from my neighbor or they were already in my yard. When I go buy plants, I go buy plants that have some kind of fruit or they're edible in some way. And that's one of my ways of just, you know, making sure that I always have something that I can go out in the yard and get. As long as I don't get crazy and start doing things like spraying acid on my plants, like spraying vinegar on my plants and killing them off, I think I might actually have some food to harvest from my garden. So that is it for today. My beautiful guava tree. I don't see any blossoms or anything, but probably should plant that in the ground too. It probably needs a whole lot more root space than this little pot that it's in. But it's pretty. Yeah. So your garden can be beautiful and edible at the same time. Okay, that's it. I'm going to stop whining and just go take care of my plants, take care of my garden, and pray for God to heal it. Don't forget to pray over your plants, pray over your garden, pray over yourself and your family, because, hey, with everything that's going on right now, without God's help, none of it's going to work. Not a single thing, because a storm can come and knock everything down, flood everything out. Hail could come and beat everything up. It could be a lot worse than the spray that I put on to kill the flies. It could be a lot worse than that. So keep yourself in prayer, and remember, I called on the Lord, no other help I know. If he don't come to save me, tell me, where will I go? I called on the Lord, no other help I know. If he don't come to save me, tell me, where will I go? Bless you. See you next time.